The Galactic Council's puzzle, the massive crystal chamber aboard the Stellar Dominion's flagship, hummed with tension. Representatives from 12 different species sat around the floating conference platform, their various forms creating an intimidating display of galactic power. High Commander Krex of the Zephyrian Empire adjusted his position, his scaled hide shifting from deep green to an irritated amber as he reviewed the holographic star charts floating before them. Honored delegates, Krex's voice resonated through. The universal translators, carrying the weight of authority earned through 300 years of successful conquests. We gather today to address a most peculiar problem in our expansion efforts. Intelligence Officer Mira, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into prismatic patterns, stepped forward. Her species, the Nexari, were renowned throughout the galaxy for their analytical capabilities and perfect memory storage. When Myra spoke, others listened. The issue concerns Sector 7, specifically System Cell 3, she began, her voice carrying the melodic tones typical of her people. According to our expansion protocols, this system should have been conquered and integrated into the Dominion decades ago, yet it remains ... untouched. War Admiral Thorn clicked his mandibles in agitation. The massive Chitauri warrior stood nearly 3 meters tall, his exoskeleton gleaming black under the chamber lights. His species had conquered over 200 systems through sheer military might, and the concept of an unconquered world was personally offensive to him. Untouched. Thorn's voice buzzed with indignation. How is that possible? Our expansion fleet has swept through 17 systems in Sector 7. What makes this Sol 3 special? Strategic Analyst Vaughn, existing as a swirling mass of sentient gas, contained within a sophisticated environmental suit, pulsed with curious energy patterns. The Vorthans were master tacticians, capable of processing thousands of battle scenarios simultaneously. That is precisely what makes this situation so interesting, Vaughn replied, his voice emerging from speakers embedded in his containment suit. Cell 3, or Earth as its inhabitants call it, appears to be completely defenseless by any reasonable galactic standard. Krex leaned forward, his amber eyes narrowing. Define defenseless, analyst. Mira activated a holographic display showing Earth in stunning detail. The blue and green planet rotated slowly, looking peaceful and inviting. The inhabitants, who call themselves humans, possess only the most primitive space travel capabilities. They have barely established a foothold on their own moon. Their weapons technology is limited to chemical explosives and basic nuclear devices. Their military forces use projectile weapons that would be considered antiques by our standards. Sounds like a perfect target for conquest, rumbled General Vask of the Coranian Horde, his rocky exterior crackling with anticipation. Why haven't we simply taken it? The chamber fell silent. Mira's crystalline form flickered with what could only be described as unease. Because, she said slowly, every military force sent to claim Earth has vanished without a trace. The silence that followed was profound. Representatives from species that had conquered entire star systems, who had faced down planet-killing weapons and reality-bending technologies, stared at the innocent-looking blue world with growing confusion, vanished. Krex's voice carried a dangerous edge. Explain, Mira gestured, and the hologram shifted. To display historical records. The first documented attempt was by the Iron Talon fleet, approximately 150 years ago. Captain Vrek of the Metallic Brotherhood approached Earth with a standard conquest force of 200 ships. His last transmission reported achieving orbital superiority and beginning atmospheric entry. Then ... nothing. Technical difficulties. suggested Admiral Thorne, though his voice lacked conviction. That was our initial assumption, Mira continued. So the Savage Tooth Clan sent a rescue mission 6 months later. Same result. Complete communications blackout upon entering Earth's solar system. Vaughn's gaseous form swirled with agitated patterns. One vanishing fleet could be explained by mechanical failure or natural phenomena. 2 suggests enemy action. How many attempts have been made? 17. The number hit the chamber like a physical blow. 17 separate military expeditions, representing some of the most feared combat forces in the galaxy, had simply disappeared. Perhaps, suggested strategic analyst Vaughn, the humans possess hidden defensive capabilities, cloaked weapon platforms, concealed military installations, advanced shield technologies. Myra shook her head, her crystalline structure refracting the light in sharp, anxious patterns. Our deep-range sensors have conducted thorough scans of the system. Earth possesses no advanced orbital defenses, no hidden battle stations, no cloaked fleets. Their most powerful weapons are planet-based nuclear missiles that couldn't even reach low orbit. Then how? Krex's frustration was evident in the deepening amber of his scales. How does a primitive civilization destroy advanced military forces? That assumes they were destroyed. Vaughn interjected thoughtfully. What if they weren't destroyed, but converted? The implications of that statement sent a chill through the chamber. Admiral Thorne's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among his species. You're suggesting the humans somehow turned our forces against us? Impossible. The Iron Talons were cybernetic warriors with hardwired loyalty protocols. The Savage Tooth Clan were genetically incapable of betrayal. The Crystal Swarm existed as a hive mind. Yet they all vanished, Mira stated simply. And there's something else. Something that might explain why no one discusses this situation openly. She activated another display, showing trade route maps and shipping lanes. Look at the commercial traffic patterns around Earth's sector. Notice anything unusual? The assembled representatives studied the hologram. Slowly, a disturbing pattern became clear. The usual network of trade routes, shipping lanes, and commercial traffic that connected every inhabited system in the galaxy simply stopped at the borders of Earth's solar system. It was as if the entire galactic community had unconsciously agreed to avoid that particular patch of space. By the void, whispered General Vask. It's like the whole galaxy is afraid of that system. Not afraid, corrected Vaughn, his gaseous form pulsing with rapid calculations. Instinctively cautious. This isn't conscious fear. It's deeper than that. It's like a racial memory telling us to stay away. Krex stood, his imposing figure casting shadows across the chamber. Racial memory of what? What could possibly make the entire galactic community avoid one primitive planet? Perhaps, Myra said quietly, they're not as primitive as they appear. The chamber erupted in discussion as representatives debated theories and possibilities. Some suggested the humans possessed psychic abilities that corrupted approaching forces. Others theorized about ancient defensive technologies left by a predecessor civilization. A few even proposed that Earth was some kind of trap set by unknown entities to lure in aggressive species. Enough. Krex's roar silenced the chamber. Speculation serves no purpose. We need facts. We need to know what happens to ships that approach Earth. I volunteer to lead a reconnaissance mission, Admiral Thorne declared, his warrior instincts overriding his caution. Give me a battle fleet, and I'll return with answers. No. Krex's response was immediate and firm. 17 fleets have tried the direct approach. We need something different. Something ... subtle. Strategic analyst Vaughan pulsed with agreement. A covert observation mission. Small, undetectable, designed to gather intelligence without direct contact. I can arrange that, offered Myra. My people have advanced stealth technology. We could approach Earth undetected and observe these humans from a safe distance. How close is safe? Asked General Vask nervously. Based on the disappearance patterns, we estimate that ships vanish when they enter the inner solar system. We'll establish observation posts at the edge of the asteroid belt and use long sensors. Krex nodded slowly. Do it. I want to know everything about these humans. Their technology, their society, their capabilities. Most importantly, I want to know how a species that can barely leave their own planet has defeated 17 of our military expeditions. As the Council began planning their reconnaissance mission, none of them noticed the small probe that had been quietly observing their meeting from outside the chamber. The device was so advanced that it registered as empty space to their sensors, invisible and undetectable. Deep within Earth's solar system, the probe's transmission was received by a monitoring station hidden within what appeared to be a routine. Communications, satellite. The message was brief but significant. They're coming to observe us. Should we prepare the usual welcome? The response came back immediately. Negative. Let them watch. Let them learn. It's time they understood why we choose to appear weak. As the Stellar Dominion's reconnaissance fleet prepared to depart, Earth continued its peaceful rotation, its inhabitants going about their daily lives, completely unaware that the galaxy's most powerful military forces were afraid to approach their quiet little world, or so it appeared. In reality, humanity had been aware of galactic civilization for over 2 centuries. They had been watching, learning, and preparing. Earth's primitive appearance was the most sophisticated camouflage operation in the history of warfare. The reconnaissance fleet would find their answers. They just wouldn't like what they discovered. The truth behind human weakness 3 weeks after the Stellar Dominion's council meeting. Intelligence Officer Mira found herself aboard the stealth vessel Silent Observer, positioned at the edge of Earth's asteroid belt. The Nexari reconnaissance ship was a marvel of technology, capable of remaining undetected even by the most advanced sensor systems in the galaxy. Or so they believed. Sensors Online reported her second-in-command, Officer Zix, a fellow Nexari, whose crystalline structure flickered with concentration, beginning long-range observation of the target planet. Mira studied the holographic displays as they populated with data. Earth hung in space before them, serene and blue, giving no indication of the mysterious fate that had befallen 17 military expeditions. Initial scans confirmed previous intelligence, Zix reported. Primitive orbital infrastructure, limited satellite network, no visible weapons platforms. Their most advanced installations appear to be simple space stations and communication arrays. Keep scanning, Myra ordered. Look deeper. There has to be something we're missing. As the days passed, the reconnaissance team observed Earth's inhabitants with growing confusion. The humans appeared to be exactly what they seemed. A young species taking its first tentative steps into space. They watched cities full of beings, going about mundane activities, vehicles moving along primitive transportation networks, an aircraft that would have been considered obsolete by galactic standards millennia ago. There, Zix announced on the 5th day of observation. Energy signature detected. It's significant. Myra's crystalline form brightened with interest. "Show me." The hologram shifted to display what appeared to be a military installation buried deep within a mountain range. Energy readings suggested massive power generation and weapons systems. Finally, Myra muttered, "Hidden military installations. That explains how they've been defending themselves." But as they continued scanning, a disturbing pattern emerged. The underground facilities were vast, interconnected networks spanning entire continents. The power signatures were enormous, suggesting weapons capabilities that rivaled anything in the Stellar Dominion's arsenal. "This doesn't make sense," Zik said, his voice carrying electronic confusion. "Why hide such advanced military capabilities? Why maintain the pretense of being primitive?" "Because," a new voice said from behind them, "it's the most effective defense strategy ever devised." Both Nexari spun around in shock. Standing in their supposedly secure command chamber was a human female, wearing what appeared to be a simple military uniform. She was tall by human standards, with dark hair and eyes that held far too much intelligence for a member of a supposedly primitive species. "I am Captain Zara Martinez, Earth Defense Coordination," the human said calmly, as if appearing aboard an alien stealth ship was perfectly normal. "And you are Intelligence Officer Myra of the Stellar Dominion, along with Officer Zix. We've been expecting you." Myra's form flared with alarm. "Impossible. Our stealth systems are impenetrable. No primitive species could detect us." Captain Martinez smiled, and there was something unsettling about the expression. "Primitive is such a relative term, don't you think?" Before either alien could react, the human activated a small device. Suddenly, the silent observer's view screen lit up with an image that made both Nexari freeze in terror. Surrounding their supposedly invisible ship was a fleet of Earth vessels. Not the primitive chemical rockets they had observed, but sleek, advanced starships that seemed to bend light around their hulls. The ships moved with impossible grace, their designs suggesting technology levels that shouldn't exist. "How?" Myra whispered. "How did we develop such advanced technology?" Martinez asked. "Or how did we detect you so easily?" The answer to both questions is the same. We've had excellent teachers. She gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing historical records. But these weren't human records. They were alien databases, military specifications, and technological blueprints from dozens of different species. Every military force that has approached Earth over the past 2 centuries has contributed to our education, Martinez explained. The Iron Talon fleet taught us about cybernetic warfare and adaptive shielding. The Savage Tooth clan shared their biological weapons expertise. The Crystal Swarm gave us insight into hive mind communications and distributed processing. Gave you, Zix's voice was barely functional. "You mean you captured them?" "Captured?" Martinez looked genuinely confused. "Oh no, nothing so crude. They joined us willingly." The implications hit both aliens like a physical blow. "Impossible," Myra stated. "Species like the Iron Talons are incapable of betrayal. The Savage Tooth clan's loyalty is genetically hardwired." "You're thinking in terms of betrayal and conquest," Martinez replied. "We think in terms of integration and cooperation. Would you like to meet some of our allies?" Before either alien could respond, new figures entered the command chamber. A massive form that could only be an Iron Talon warrior, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming. A scaled creature that resembled the descriptions of the Savage Tooth clan. Even a crystalline being that looked remarkably similar to the Nexari themselves. Captain Vrek of the former Iron Talon fleet, the cybernetic warrior, introduced himself. now proud member of Earth's integrated defense force, warrior Gash of the Savage Tooth Clan, growled the scaled being. Or, as we prefer to be known now, the Sharp Fang Environmental Adaptation Unit. The crystalline being stepped forward. I am Unity of Purpose, formerly of the Crystal Swarm Collective. I now serve as Earth's xenocultural liaison. Myra stared at these impossible figures. You're telling me that all these military forces simply joined you? Not immediately, Martinez admitted. But humans have a particular talent that most species seem to lack. We're exceptionally good at seeing things from other perspectives. When the Iron Talon fleet arrived, expecting easy conquest, we didn't fight them. We talked to them. We learned about their culture, their needs, their goals. Captain Vrek's mechanical voice carried what sounded almost like emotion. They offered us something our species had never experienced. Purpose beyond mere conquest. They showed us how to build rather than destroy. Asterisk, the Savage Tooth Clan came to Earth seeking worthy opponents, Warrior Gash added. Humans gave us the greatest challenge of all, learning to nurture rather than dominate. Our warrior skills now protect life instead of ending it. Unity of purpose, pulsed with harmonious light patterns. The crystal swarm existed only as a collective. Humans taught us about individuality while maintaining unity. We discovered that diversity within cooperation is far more powerful than uniform thought. Myra's crystalline structure flickered with rapid processing. You're saying that instead of defeating these forces, you converted them through diplomacy. Through understanding, Martinez corrected. We showed them alternatives to conquest. We demonstrated that cooperation yields far greater rewards than domination. Most importantly, we proved that strength isn't about who you can defeat, but about who you can protect. The recognition hit Myra like a cascade of pure information. The trading routes, the unconscious avoidance of your system. It's not fear, it's respect. Every species that interacts with Earth's integrated forces carries the message back. Martinez nodded. They don't speak about it directly, but the knowledge spreads. Earth is the place where warriors become protectors, where conquest becomes cooperation, where enemies become family. But why maintain the facade? Zix asked. Why appear primitive when you possess such advanced capabilities? Martinez's smile returned, and this time it held a warmth that seemed to affect the very atmosphere of the chamber. Because the moment we reveal our true capabilities, we become a target for every aggressive species in the galaxy. Our strength lies not in what we can destroy, but in what we choose not to destroy. She activated another display, showing Earth's surface. But now, with their enhanced sensors revealing the truth, both aliens could see the reality. Cities that extended deep underground, connecting to vast networks of manufacturing and research. Facilities, transportation systems that moved through dimensions they couldn't even name. Energy grids that tapped into forces that existed beyond normal space-time. We could have conquered the galaxy centuries ago, Martinez said quietly. We chose not to. We decided that the greatest victory is making sure no one needs to lose. What about us? Mira asked, her voice uncertain. What happens to our reconnaissance? Mission. That's up to you, Martinez replied. You can return to the Stellar Dominion and report that Earth remains a mystery. You can recommend that the system be avoided for safety reasons, or ... or you can stay. You can learn what we've learned. You can discover that there are alternatives to the cycle of conquest and domination that has defined galactic civilization. For millennia, the choice hung in the air like a tangible thing. Both Nexari looked at each other, their crystalline forms pulsing with rapid communication in their species-like language. Finally, Mira spoke. If we stayed, what would happen to our mission, our people? Your people would receive a message stating that the reconnaissance was unsuccessful due to equipment failure. Standard cover story. No one would question it. Given the history of expeditions to Earth, and the Stellar Dominion would continue to unconsciously avoid Earth's sector, just as they have for the past 2 centuries. Eventually, as more species learn our approach, the need for conquest-based expansion will simply fade away. Unity of Purpose stepped forward, their crystalline structure resonating with harmonious patterns. The choice to join us is always voluntary. But I will say this, I have experienced both the cold efficiency of the hive mind and the warm complexity of individual cooperation. There is no comparison. As the 2 Nexari considered their options, Captain Martinez made a final observation that would stay with them regardless of their decision. The Stellar Dominion believes that strength comes from the ability to force others to submit. We've learned that true strength comes from giving others reasons to stand with you willingly. One approach creates enemies. The other creates family. 3 hours later, the Silent Observer transmitted its final message to the Stellar Dominion reconnaissance. Mission unsuccessful. Equipment failure in target system. Recommend continued avoidance of Sol 3 sector for safety reasons. The message was filed, noted, and promptly forgotten, just as 17 similar reports had been over the past 2 centuries. Meanwhile, on Earth, 2 new members joined the ever-growing family of former enemies who had discovered that the greatest victory was learning when not to fight. And somewhere in the depths of the planet's integrated defense network, plans continued for the day when this lesson might finally spread to the stars themselves. The galaxy remained unaware that its most dangerous planet was dangerous not because of what it could destroy, but because of what it could create. A future where strength served love, where power protected peace, and where the greatest conquest was the conquest of conquest itself. But that was a lesson for another day. For now, Earth continued its careful masquerade, appearing weak while quietly teaching the galaxy's warriors a better way to be strong.